Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Bad Betches, the only podcast on the internet that talks about the Bad Batch by the Imperial Senate Podcast. I am your host, Charlie Ashby, and joining me as always is my beloved co-host, Nicky. How you doing, mate?
Doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
Apart from internet difficulties, as you can probably tell by the fact we're an hour late, doing all right. You know, I've been checking it up, trying to fix things and just put plugs into different holes. I'm imagining that's how Echo is constantly in the ship, which is a fun question we actually had brought up this week in the show, which is where does Echo go to sleep? Because we see, you see Tech just like laying about. So it's like they just plug him in, just like
in a corner. I'm a charging station. You know? Maybe he has one of those ones where it's like you just sit it down on the like surface and it charges. Maybe he doesn't even have to plug in. He is worth like 4,000 credits, so it's like better be next level.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, he goes, I'm a real person, but also if your phone runs out of battery, just let me hold it for about 15 minutes. It'll be 100% charged. I thought obviously this week we're here to talk about some really cool stuff with the latest episode. Claire can't be with us this week, but don't worry because we will have her thoughts and rating for the episode. She reached out to me with that, and it's going to be pretty cool to just sort of summarize this episode because what a fun episode to sort of kick off with. I will say this to start off with. This might be the most Clone Wars-y title out of everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like Dave Filoni and George Lucas had some sort of adjectives and nouns and put it into a big bowl like ripped paper. And you just take it out. It's like, okay, bounty lost.
Yep. No, yeah, I totally get that. It was very like mid-season 3 kind of Clone Wars. But yeah, totally. It was a great episode though, and left a lot of really cool questions you didn't think you'd ever have.
Yeah,
I think is what's cool. It's the expansion of the universe. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because it feels like the questions that were answered were things that we sort of assumed beforehand, but to the point where we kind of didn't really think about it for a while because we're so drawn into the story and the character development. So that when it comes around again, you're kind of shocked still. You're like, oh, well, this is confirmation, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I said, it raises questions, but also it does a great job at sort of opening up and shaking things around. I know for me, I was like worried slightly last week. And I say worried slightly in like 0.2% worried, which is when the plot of like Omega being taken and them having to go get her back. I was like, well, this kind of seems a little bit similar to The Mandalorian. And then we get her back within an episode. And I'm like, okay, well, this is not the same thing. And I like them tricking the audience like that.
Yeah. No, it was good in that regard. Because we spent a lot of time the end of last episode just sort of breaking things down, how things might shake out. And like for me, I was pretty like excited about this prospect of a like Omega thinking Hunter was dead conversation with Crosshair, which is not gonna happen now.
No.
So yeah, no, it's very cool to be sort of like I don't know. I feel like some people like really get off on like predicting the whole thing.
Yeah.
it's like actually it's kind of fun to not know like where it's gonna take you. So yeah, I think that it was a good episode in that regard as well. So I've got plenty of questions, plenty of things to still guess at. So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like there's something about the whole conjecture and idea of working out, theorizing. Obviously, there's a whole industry built around guessing these things and theorizing these things. And sometimes people, I guess the difficulty is when you don't clarify between conjecture and like just saying something's happening and saying this is the obvious. And I love it when the audience, the creators, not trick the audience, but they're the same as us. They know what our brains are thinking. There's no way they looked at this plot line of the season and didn't go, well, that's similar to this other story we're telling. Like when people go, well, they're just copying it. Like there's no way the same. Not to be like, oh yeah, we'll just do the Mandalorian in animated form.
Right.
Not the case. And it's nice for this episode to shake things up with that. And again, it's a great job of the interconnectivity of that whole thing, because again, it's the story of following the Bad Batch, but also when you show me a cloning tube that's green and looks scary, you've drawn me in. My theory brain has to be drawn in and peaked.
Yeah, very very creepy looking stuff with the Kaminoans. But yeah, I'm sure we'll dig into all that a bit later.
Absolutely. And again, we'll delve into some of the sound effects design, because we've been saying this for a few weeks now, but the sound effects and the sound design and the little Easter eggs here and there are just so beautiful. And I feel like I'm gonna probably annoy David Collins by the end of this run, because every week I'm just like keep texting him like, hey, is it the sound? Is it the sound? I did it for this week. For those who didn't see it, it was immediate like nostalgia pleasure for me, which is the Kaminoan like computer systems, the sound effects that when Omega's typing, it's the exact same sounds for the main menu on Bounty Hunter, the game. It's like you like new game.
Yep.
It's the same sound. I was like,
he's a great person to be doing that job because of his experience with that stuff.
Yes.
Right? Like he started through video games, I believe, and has incorporated so much. I mean, Republic Commando is a big one with the visor and stuff, and
yes,
and even the blasters. The DC-17 or something is from that game. So yeah, it's cool just having that like breadth of knowledge to utilize the menu sounds from the game you worked on before. So yeah, great stuff.
Yes, it's a nice little combination of just obviously when you design these sounds for the first time, you're making it sound realistic, or like it's there to prove a purpose. So it's easy to reuse those for the same purpose, but there's that added bit of nostalgia play when you reuse those sounds that I feel like for the people that grew up with it, it just hits them. I'm not expecting everyone in the world to realize it's the same menu sounds from the Bounty Hunter video game, but I did because I'm a loser. And you know what? Thank you, Disney.
There we go.
Well, let's dive into the episode with our talking points. Of course, the first one we'll get into is escape from Crosshair and Omega's origin. Now, did you like how the episode sort of kick-started right where we left off?
Yeah, I think it was cool in how it felt like another sort of an extension of what we were watching. Like this has now become a 3-parter of sorts kind of thing. So yeah, I thought that was great. Get into action really quickly. This was another chance for the animation and the sound design and everything to just shine again, where you got the shuttles chasing each other, and like it wasn't super long, but it was like, okay, we're in this. Yeah, we're we're starting. There's no sort of relax and take a second to process what just happened with Cad Bane and Omega. It's like, yeah, we're still in the mess here. So I thought it was a great opening, and I think it's very intriguing to see. We obviously didn't get it here, but Crosshair's still bandaged up, so I'm curious what he's gonna be like when those come off.
Yes, and actually, what I actually really appreciate about the opening is that we don't have much time to spend with Crosshair because of the nature of like the missions and going after them. I really love the fact that even though he's injured, perhaps very, very injured, he's still like going full out to get them. And he's like, because he has only these few opportunities to try and catch his ex-brothers, and he's not going to let this one just go. Like just because he's got hurt, he's clinging on to the very end. It's not until they jump
Yeah, it's like the season in general where we took a break from like episode 3 to last, or like not the most recent one, but the one before that. So yeah, it kind of shows like all the stuff they've been doing, like the elite squad has been doing in between these rare opportunities to grab it. So yeah, he was very very fervent in completing that mission, but no luck this time, buddy.
No luck this time. Hopefully he's going back to, I don't know, Coruscant to get that sweet. We know that the Coruscant has that sweet medical burn center.
Oh yeah, top dollar place right there.
Probably being renovated currently due to an
Yep.
incident. But yeah, I feel like he can get some nice little like scarring or something looking lovely there.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, we sort of delve into Omega on the ship being captured. Like you said, kind of upset about what happened to Hunter, but we don't really delve into that too much. We do get a lot more Todo, played by Seth Green, which I thought was really cool.
Great little droid.
It's such a fun little performance because obviously Seth Green is one of those performers that can just play any character. We see it a lot. We see him in Rebels, but that specific character, I really like the droid lackey who doesn't get respected.
Exactly, yeah, and that's always the sort of the trigger point, right? Like this weakness that the bad guys never really get, where it's like, oh, we can exploit the way you exploit kindness. We can exploit your unkindness, and that's how Omega sort of gets out of her little situation, because she's able to push those buttons for or on Todo, and like literally and figuratively push buttons on him.
I also love the way the programming works for his legs. Like the idea you can attach it backwards, but you can just have to reprogram it to go forwards. I thought that was a nice little. I don't know why. I just thought it was really cool. Like, oh yeah, makes sense. And bless his heart, again, deceived by a lie and knocked out.
Yep, it's rough out there for Todo, but you know, he always recovers in the end.
Yeah, like they even go into the fact that this is like because the way he describes working with Bane suggests to me maybe he has like a cloud backup.
I think that seems appropriate. Like yeah, like there's this like data transfer going on, or like a shared thing, because yeah, he definitely has a lot of personality in conjunction with Cad Bane to sort of suggest that like the history is remembered whether or not he's been blown up or not, kind of thing.
Yeah, or at least there is maybe like a pre-backup and before explosion, and then or like he gets like a general override. Like I don't think there's been enough time, even a year since we saw Cad Bane.
Yeah,
for that sort of relationship to flourish, which I like. I like the idea that there's a backup. And we get a bit more into obviously Omega's origin.
Yeah,
which I think was fiercely sort of debated for months. Whether that's people just assuming that she was a clone of Palpatine.
Because she stood like this in a photo.
Or she is the Omega Twin Alpha, which of course we find out is the case in this week's episode, which is she is a Generation 1 clone, non-genetically modified, which to me was like, yes, indication.
Yeah, I remember we talked pretty early about whether or not she had the like growth thing taken out or not, which now is the case. So it's like she's essentially just like a girl boba, right? Like it's kind of cool. It's like, again, this idea of something Star Wars has done so well for decades now, of you knowing a fact about something and then find them being able to find the little corners and the little pockets where they can play in that space. So like it's like, yeah, we've known Django had a clone, unaltered, just kind of a dude clone who can grow up with him. Like we knew that. We knew that was possible. But then now to have this angle where the Kaminoans have done this secretly, and I guess we assume Django had no idea about this.
Although, could you imagine how cooler that would have been if he's like,
yeah.
I have one message for you. I want one child, unaltered. And then Cad Bane's like, what if I told you today was buy one, get one free?
Oh, man. Yeah, that'd be great. But yeah, again, like just this idea where, there's just a little room to wiggle into and build something totally new out of it. So I think it's really fun that they did this with Omega.
Yeah, and I completely agree what you say about the storytelling device, because I think sometimes people mistake delving into more of a story as a sin of some sorts, as opposed to fully exploring the complete opportunities that can create.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you push anything to its limits, you want to see where it can go. If it kills us there, we probably shouldn't go further, but if you can prod something and like push forward, see what comes out of that. The idea of like not only having Boba be an old clone, the emotional implications for why Django would want that.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got this other extra. And I tweeted about this actually today, which was that think about how Boba feels in that point of time. The reason why he sort of goes down that path is because he has lost his family.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't consider the clones as his brothers because they're not. They're not his brothers. They're different. So in that moment when he loses his father and the head gets chopped off, it's such an important part of him, because I feel like he feels so lost. He doesn't know what to do, and he falls down this path. And all this time, he had a sister that could have helped him not completely alleviate those feelings, but he wasn't alone.
Yeah.
That to me is a great way of pushing that thread and being like, pushing that little bit of tragedy there.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously now, like, when you start pulling on these strings, I think it's now very obvious that the Kaminoans kept them separated, kept them hidden, and because I mean they grew up for what is it, Boba, like 10 or 11 or something in clones. Yeah, I mean, as far as we know, he didn't really go many places, at least not canonically. He didn't really like go around too much. So like you can assume a good chunk of his time was spent on Kamino, not running into this other girl who looks pretty much like him. Like it's it's really, again, kind of creepy and in how the Kaminoans function like as a people, and I think that just feeds more into like that point you're saying of like why not like fully explore, because there's actually something that's not often given as a praise to the prequels. There's great clever dialogue around the Kaminoans. The whole diner scene with Dex, what he's like actually saying about them, is worth exploring, because they're not like good guys.
Not at all.
Yeah,
no.
There's a lot there, and I think it's so cool just to be able to explore them more as a society with motivations. We got a bit of it in the Clone Wars, not much in the movies, because they're just sort of there doing their job. But yeah, the way we've explored it in Clone Wars already, and now they're going into overdrive here with like who thought they had another facility, right? Like that floats in the sky, right? Like that like how cool is that? Like it's one of those things like where else would they have gone? Where, like, are there other places in regions unknown, perhaps? Like,
and it looks like they're cloning themselves.
Yeah, in a weird way, because they didn't look like right. They looked like the dude from Crystal Skull.
Do you know what? That was a thing people have been saying. I was like, that's what I kind of love about this as well. Is that you're right. We saw a bit more of the Kaminoans in the Clone Wars, but only to the extent of the conspiracy in terms of Order 66. We never really got a bit of a backstory about who they are as a people.
Yeah.
And then we get this like little sliver, and we're like, well, we did see a crystal skull in the Clone Wars. There is this. They do look like a bit like them in the alien. Like maybe it's the same ones. They travel through different dimensions.
Yep.
Of course, I know that'd be a screenwriter article in about 2 weeks. No, but it's true. I really like the way we delve into the history. All you have to say, or like visually show, is the outdated, rusted facility, and even that is like, okay, well, something's going on. Either behind the scenes, shadiness,
and they've been at it a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like the way that they use some of those elements against us, like the fact that people got so angry about Tornwee dying. And it's like, why do we really care? Like, really? It's because we...
What did you want from her? like, do you want Tornwee, a Star Wars story? Like, it's like, come on. It's gotta have some utility.
We associate her with those fun little, like, meme moments, but also, like, with the moments from our childhood. This is just a character that we see, I guess, positivity from. But also, the whole point is that they're all lying.
Yeah.
That sequence is that they're all lying. They only know. They know what Jango Fett's doing. They know who he is today.
Exactly, and like the Tornwee move was also, it reminded me very, very much of another big swing that Lucasfilm storytelling took with the War of the Bounty Hunters, when like within pages, offed 4-LOM and Zuckuss, like I was like, damn, okay, we're doing this, and this sorry, spoilers for the comic if you haven't read it. But yeah, it's like these are kind of big swings where it's like, okay, they just straight up offed a named character we've known since 2002. It's fun, and it feels bold in a way that's like not actually bold, right? Like, like it doesn't like change that much about how we process things, but like it is still big. It still feels big because like, oh wow, okay, they took her out. They took them out.
I think it's a fun combination between one, like you said, it's a character that we've sort of known, and also that I think that's the beauty of Star Wars, that people attach themselves to the strangest and the varied characters in Star Wars, whether that's a background character who says nothing, or Boba, is your father here? Like, I love how we like connect to those sort of characters and stuff. And like, I guess like for me, her getting killed is less of a I can't believe they killed off Tornwee, and more of a wow, this really adds more drama and weight to the confrontation that will surely come between Lama Su and Nala Se.
Yeah, one of their big people are dead now.
Yeah, and that's another great storytelling beat twist I never saw coming, which was that we were all kind of like, yeah, of course it's the Kaminoans who put the bounty out. I don't think anyone was like, oh yeah, they put 2 bounties out for separate reasons. Yeah,
competing interests within the camp in a way that's really starting to heat up. Because before, like as far as we knew, like Lama Su and Nala Se were on the same team. As far as we have our plan here with our new. Is it like are they like teasing like a new super soldier kind of template or something?
Yeah, it feels like the Jango DNA that have is degraded beyond replication, so they can't take the DNA anymore. So I guess because Omega is the clearest.
Yeah, like the perfect
she's a
clone.
Full-on perfect clone. Yeah, she's the one to get that from, because I don't know what Bubba is, I guess.
Right. So like, yeah, as far as we knew, that was their sort of unified motivation. and now Nalase's like, again, like later when Fennec's like, I don't have her, he's like, that's fine. Like, right? Like, she's like, just as long as Lamasu doesn't have her.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really just cool. You know, just a way to just add more twists and turns, add more tensions, more alleyways to explore. Like it could have been very straightforward, but it's not. So I think that's really
Yeah.
cool. And
And
another thing with like the Tanway death, it's like we talked before, the Y Fennec. Like this is just
yeah.
another little, turn of the screw, because now she's killed someone we recognize. And it's like it's these little twists to like add to her legend and make her this character who when Din Djarin sees her puck, he's like, nah, I'm good. Right?
I'm gonna peace out.
Yeah, he's like, that's fine, that's Fennec. I'm not having that. Like,
Do you think it has it on her bio, like her wiki page?
Yeah. Yep. All the Kaminoan she's killed.
I thought, fuck of that. Speaking of Fennec, we have the ultimate battle that I don't know if we ever really saw coming. I feel like these are the characters that we expected to appear in the show at some point, but I never think this combination of characters we thought would see attacking.
Only with my toys.
I will start off with one question. We were debating the whole idea of having Boba come back for that mini arc, and there was something in the artwork from last week that was revealed, and we see it physically this week, which is that Gad's got a nice little metal head.
He got something on there, yeah. What it is exactly, we don't know, but it definitely suggests a few things. Maybe.
Do you think that right now, as of the 27th of June, 2021, do you think Boba and Cad fought?
Like that's already just been understood to have happened?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yeah.
Okay, interesting.
But I mean, the fuck knows, right? Like, I feel like for me, it's like, why put it there if not? It's just like, yeah, technically, I guess someone else could have been happening in prison. Someone could have took a swing at him and hit his noggin. But it's like, yeah, I think they are sort of trying to imply that it's happened, which is fun. Which also means we still might get it, in some way. We might still get it. So yeah, I think it's definitely a big swing in terms of what the fate of that little story arc is going to be.
Yeah, which it makes it more exciting, I feel like, because it can appear anywhere. I really like the fight between them. I thought it was a really, really good way of, first of all, the movements for Fennec feels very much like Ming-Na Wen's movements from The Mandalorian, which I really appreciated. And the fact that Cad seems to underestimate Fennec at the beginning because she's new on the block, and they sort of reiterate that for people in case, because the timeline can be people can forget about the timeline sometimes. I thought it was really cool to see them fight. I like it's good storytelling when you forget for a moment that Cad has the boots.
Oh yeah, the little rocket boots.
You're like, oh no, okay, yeah, we remember that. Okay,
yeah,
calm down.
Yeah, it was all like super cool, and the use of different tools and gadgets and all sorts. I think Fennec had that, like, I don't know what their like actual word is, but like those two ball things that like tie around, like you throw 'em.
Yes,
like that's how she like got him.
Like Catwoman has.
Yeah, like I can't I can't remember the name of those things. But yeah, I think it was just cool, just seeing these like different styles, and I think Cad Bane sort of like expecting to have the Western standoff again, and Fennec's like, nah, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah,
and then it's like, this sort of back and forth, and then and that allows Omega to run, which was great. I thought she was again really funny. Again, just the way they animate her, there's so much like character in just the way she moves.
Yeah.
And like the way she goes up the ladder and or down the ladder with the little handcuffs, like she's like just trying to like get down the thing. And so yeah, I mean, again, it was another just great. It sort of felt a bit like the Corellia episode, where like just the staging of everything was very good, and like you got sort of Omega versus Toto, Fennec versus Cad, like just all these different sort of pieces, and then you're waiting for the batch to show up as well because they know where she is now.
Yeah, Echo versus GPS.
Right.
Like, give me a fucking break. I'll get into that, but I think to say first, visually, this episode was such a treat to watch. This is the one where I think it really did. And I keep saying every episode looks great. This one really blew me away. This was pure. We said last week map painting. This felt very much like a map. This felt so much like watching Escape from Bespin for the first time, or like when the Falcon flies through Cloud City in the special edition. Visuals, the clouds, the city in the sky. I know that's a generic comparison, but I feel like the way it was shot and the sort of the nature of the colors in the sky, I thought was really well done. It was nice, and the assets, the info, like I think the escape pod was similar to the one that Fives went into.
Yeah.
In, the Kaminoan episode. So I thought it was really cool to blend both styles, the art styles and stuff. And again, we were talking about the storytelling. Chad makes a good point here about how it consistently will follow the show, the formula of Rebels, building of a family. Yeah, I completely agree. I think the storytelling is a really great way of having those story elements from Rebels, but with the visual flourish of the Clone Wars. And even other like bits. This isn't just the Clone Wars. It's a nice moving forward. And I know I keep talking about that point, but I just thought it was pretty cool to see this episode.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is another big step because, again, we sort of know like with like special effects and sort of animation and stuff, like the darkness is easier, right? Like you can hide things in darkness, but when it's bright, when it's daylight, that's where things really sort of show you what they are. And this was, a well lit episode, right? Just in the clouds of the day. And I think it was just another great example of what this team does and how they're going to be pushing the visual sort of limits consistently. And I can't remember if was it the last episode where they said this was like full pandemic production, or was it this one?
Yeah, I think it was last week, and they mentioned it again this week, where the writing was done from home.
Yeah,
which is I can't even begin to understand that. It's so well done, well done.
Yeah, I think Joel Aaron was talking about. He's like, "This is like the proudest work we've ever done," because it's like the things we didn't think we could do as far as being where we were, not having our normal offices, and just doing it from home. And it's super cool. And I think even just recently, some of the press Wing Na Wen's been doing, she talked about how she recorded all her lines for the show at home.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be able to tell.
No, they do that all the time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Pour one out for Adam Driver.
Yeah.
Whose poor comments in 2019.
I think Kelly Marie Tran talked similarly about Ryan the Last Dragon. She's like, I recorded that whole thing in an apartment with blankets on the wall. So yeah, it's kind of cool how they are able to the productions were able to adapt in that way. And if you watch a Pixar movie that's come out recently, I always think it's kind of nice how at the end they'll be like made by us in our homes around the Bay Area or something. Like it's just kind of like a nice acknowledgement of the fact that this wasn't made in normal times. This was
the timestamp.
Yeah, it's like this was somehow put together by our love of making it. So yeah, I think it's a really a nice touch to talk about that.
And I think as well, like obviously this is a big budget production and everything, but I always laugh at the sort of, that's not the same effort as anything else. I'm like, for me, the best properties are the ones that utilize what they have and push it further than more so having loads of money and just pushing it out. Like, I mean, I was going to bring up Doctor Who as an example. Like, think about how many, because people always joke about the whole tin foil and eggshells and quarries and everything. But that show's still on air, and it's known around the world. But even Star Wars, I mean, think about all the stuff that they pushed that budget out of. Whether that's the costuming, ILM, literally creating the effects industry as we know it from the ground up, just for this film. That's what you see with these with talent and creativity. It's pushing it to its limits.
And like that's like the whole point of good filmmaking is not how well you adhered to the schedule. Like the point of what sets a good filmmaker apart is reacting to calls you didn't think you'd have to make, and how many of those you do right versus wrong. Like that's what it's about. So yeah, I mean, I think again, it's just a great credit to the people who make this show and things like this where really weird circumstances brought it together, but watching it, you would not even be able to tell.
You wouldn't. It's the best Star Wars animation that's ever looked. Yep. Also, before we wrap up this point, I want to talk about the fact that I remember being a child and watching Bosch, the Jedi, put the hand out, the switch of the thermal detonator, and you see in the 3PO's inflection of his voice, it's a thermal detonator. Everyone going fucking crazy.
Yeah.
The weight of that sequence, the way the camera focuses on the thermal detonator, you feel the weight of how dangerous this weapon is. And then you fast forward and you see Fennec Shand like karate kick it and out of the air. I was like, fuck, this is so cool.
Yeah.
That's how badass she is. Like,
absolutely.
I just really love that shot. I was like, oh, you know what? I love Star Wars.
Yep. I wonder if we'll see her again in this show. Because
I feel like we have to.
Because Nala Se sort of gave mission to back off. But I think does Fennec say like you know how to reach me if you need something or something like that. So yeah, it's definitely possible, but I wonder in what circumstance she would be needed to come back. Some exciting stuff there.
I was also interested about the fact that they obviously confirmed that Boba was Alpha, Project Alpha, and that they don't see. Is it that they can't reach him, or is it that they don't want to reach him because he was, he's like, fuck this, I'll shoot you in the head. Leave me alone.
I bet it's both, honestly. Because like who the hell knows where he is? I guess they could ask people to track him. But also, yeah, maybe Omega's their precious little helper, right? As opposed to the kid who grew up with the bounty hunter. Maybe he's not the one likely to help them or in any way. So yeah, I think it could be a combination of both for sure.
I have another thing I want to ask you as well, which is about Boba. Is do you? And it's kind of about Omega, because obviously there's the whole theorizing about Omega, like what her skill set is. Because everyone's like, oh yeah, she's force sensitive. I think pretty much this episode confirms that this, her specific difference is that she is the genetic duplicate. So do you think that it's less that she's like just empathetic, but also the fact that Jango had those elements? Because they kind of mentioned in Attack of the Clones that there are bits of Jango that they, clipped out of there. Like they made the clones more obedient. Of course, there's the aging, but there's also the ingenuity, the guile, the cleverness, the putting things together that Jango had that the others don't necessarily have, but Boba does.
And I mean, I think you can also add to some weird maybe degree there's a heart to him. Like,
Yes, there is.
why else
100%.
would he want a son?
Yeah.
Right? Like he was a very successful bounty hunter, could have just done whatever, but he wanted a son to raise, to show the world, to have a companion. So it's like, yeah, I wonder. I think Legends did more with, like, I guess we see Cut, but like, I mean, you see Sue, of course you're gonna fall in love, but like, I think Legends did more with, like, this idea of clones like falling in love and like wanting companionship, like personal relationship things, in a way that I don't think this show's done much of outside of, friends through combat, loyalty to brothers, stuff like that. So I mean, yeah, if you want to add a few pieces together, it's like maybe that is a Django trait. This sort of like empathy and sort of openness to. I think obviously Omega. We shouldn't make any like mistake. I think Omega is much nicer than Jango Fett, probably. Yes. but I think, yeah, maybe that is, a piece of him. This sort of humanity thing that is still within her, her sort of DNA. And I think even in Clone Wars we see these moments with Boba, when Plo Koon sort of gets through to him. It's like Boba's not incapable of that.
No, yeah, and I don't know if he really, because you're right about Django. Like, obviously, he's got the reputation he has for a reason. But there's also this backstory, and there's also this nature versus nurture. Like, he's clearly intelligent. He's clearly very, very skilled, and maybe he does deep down have. That's what I love about these characters. That's what they do have a heart.
And another thing, filled in by the Mandalorian, we know he's a foundling.
He's a foundling, yeah.
And this, we sort of know the spirit in which they're raised now, where it's like this idea of, like a companionship, a creed to each other, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, these are all, like, again, just cool, like, ways to color in on these lines and just define these people even more. And also, really quickly, just in case people are confused, my laptop is dying, so I am moving. You're not freaking out. So I will go to my charger. Ta-da.
Do you know what would be badass?
What's that?
If in the Book of Boba Fett, because we were expecting, like, maybe what if Omega shows up, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if Omega shows up, but she's wearing a Mandalorian armor, and it's the same color scheme as Django?
Well, now you got me crying in the club. Because if that happened, just the notion of Omega is enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there was any, again, like, even just in The Mandalorian, when Jango Fett was referenced, it like, that was a really cool moment. So then, yeah, any other sort of visual cue that acknowledges what he might have meant to people, what he could mean, yeah, that'd be really cool.
Because, yeah, there's an emotional attachment in the writing. There's a difference between saying, and you see it in fan films, no offense to fan film creators, but there's a difference between being like, yeah, Jango Fett, like, he's badass, and there's a difference between that and when Boba appears in The Mandalorian. He's like, my father was Jango Fett. He was a foundling, and he says the lines not because it's meme culture and because it's like, oh, I know that line about, a difficult way in the galaxy. It's because it's ingrained in him.
Mm-hmm.
That emotional working class sort of, it's ingrained in Boba Fett. He's doing these things because of his father.
Yeah.
As opposed to it just being like a shout out to stuff. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to see where they go with that, and I really do hope we see Boba at some point in this show.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do explore a bit more of that heritage, and it'd be nice to see if the Bad Batch get to explore a bit of that, because like we said, they're kind of they're not Django. That's what's kind of different. It's interesting to talk about this on Twitter this week, because people are like, well, why don't all the clones count as Boba's brothers? No, because they're not the same.
They don't even count as their own brothers, like to the clones. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, this is their whole existence is based on being different.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
genetically and also from their own point of view. But there are those elements. They're definitely more. I won't say docile, but they're more militant than Django is. They're less willing to go off their own end. That's why you don't really see that many clones do bounty hunting on their own end before the war, because they've got a regime to live. And again, that's nature versus nurture, but also DNA manipulation as well. So yeah, I was really interested to see that. I like delving into these theories. I also think it's hilarious how we all started the show off with, it's the dad badge. Now, it's kind of like it's the auntie badge. Because technically Omega's the oldest one there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Din and Grogu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but I think again, that's like not. I don't mean this in a way where it's like it's derivative. Like I think it's similar because this is the heart of Star Wars, and it's like who. It's this idea of who is really teaching or who is really taking care of who, and I think it's like. I think that's why that moment in The Mandalorian is so like important, because when they leave each other, like that was like a dual, like that was a street goes two ways, or whatever the fucking phrase is. Like because it wasn't Din giving him up. It was Grogu being like, I'm gonna go. Are you gonna be okay?
Yeah.
Right. Like it's they don't just like, it isn't just one party helping the other, and I think that's what's so important. Like in what ways does Omega make them better? And in what ways has she improved their lives and helped them think about new things? So yeah, I think yeah, the dad badge thing is of course a funny way to reference it, but it's like it's very much not just 5 men and a baby, right? Like it's or 4 men. Sorry, Crosshair. But yeah, he's taking care of his own kids and those conscripted guys.
he's scrappy adopted kids.
Yeah, with the lion treatment of murdering the young. But yeah, I think it's definitely it's key to how this universe works, and just good stories. I mean, it's like the point. Was it Chad in the chat talking about Rebels, right? Like it's about building a family, because that's the ethos of Star Wars, right? Like every single story is about making that family and fighting for each other.
Exactly. Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're blood related or not, or if there's this connection somehow. That's not necessarily the key point. Like Luke and Leia aren't the way they are because they were born from the same mum. They're like that because they're good people that, despite the differences at the time, came together to fight for the greater good.
Yeah,
and that's what I love about these characters as well. Like there is a decision and a choice there to be made, and they're doing it. They're pushing forward. Let's dive into this one quickly because there's not really much to talk about, but it's there. Kaminoan secrets. What up with that lab?
They're wilding out here. It felt very like on why am I forgetting? Navarro with the tubes, right? Where it's like there's not much there and also so much there.
Yes,
it's like there's not much to say, but like you want to say everything because it's like what was that, and what could it be, and what could it mean? Like that, I think this was a really cool, like little like mysterious box to just sort of throw on us.
Yeah, it's the perfect show not tell. It's the classic horror idea of it's Vader. It's Vader's head, for want of a better word. Show you a little bit of the leg.
Yeah,
it's a Victorian It's like a picture of,
very, very saucy.
showing you a bit of heel, and then you're going, okay, I'm gonna have to make do with that. It's it's a really clever way of basically intriguing the audience, pushing them.
Yeah.
I know now whenever I see a green tube with mysterious contents, something weird's going on.
We also need to give a shout out to Fennec for taking that thing like a champ when it opened and flopped on her. Because I know if that was me, I'd be probably just screaming in place for a good minute. So
yeah, it's
credit
like
for never getting up and continuing with the bounty.
like, what do you think happened with that body? Like, is it awake? Is it dead? Is it a clone? Is it like what the
Yeah,
fuck just happened?
I suspect they're all dead.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
But that's the other thing. It's like, how long's it been there?
Mm.
And what is it? Like, what's the point of it? Is what like are these weird things the Kaminoans are trying to make like super Kaminoans?
My theory was because obviously I feel like there's like that's the best thing about Palpatine's plan is that there's always all these people have their own sort of ideas and plans and they're pushing forward. Like, what if the camp like how long has Lama Su been the prime minister?
Yeah.
Like, is this like a thing he does? Like, where he keeps going on and on and on because he has his bodies?
Yeah, we don't know.
And then Palpatine's like, this shit, I like it. Give me some of that.
Adaptable, if nothing else.
Give me that green juice.
Palpatine's whole vibe. It's like, yeah, might be able to stick a few other guys in some green juice in a few years. So yeah, no, it's really cool, and I think it's one of those things also where I think people are. I think Mandalorian had more sort of like footing to do this, but I think people see this also and kind of want to jump to the Snoke stuff.
Guilty.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm still at the stage of let's see. Like for this one, I think Mando is definitely way more like pushing that button.
Well, the music's in Mando, right?
Yeah, and this to me is just still intriguing. I don't know about linking it just yet, but I think it's certainly a big deal.
I wonder if it's like a little throwback as well. Isn't the tubes in Dark Empire green in the comic?
Oh, I don't remember.
I'll have to have a look.
Yeah,
I might have a glance for Google check while we do it. Yeah, I really like that. I like delving. Again, they don't have to tell us. That's what's great about it. It's putting these pieces together. Yeah, I think the final point is where to next. Because I thought what was interesting is they released a new trailer recently, and we do see snippets. It's the mid-season trailer. We do see snippets. I know that we think we're going to Araxis maybe. But apart from that, there's not really much else that we can predict.
Yeah, I don't think there's. They've done a really good job at playing this one close. Because even you think about mid-season trailers in the past for other shows, they showed some shit. They didn't with whatever they released with this one. Yeah, they showed us the Walker shots on Raxus, but that's stuff from other trailers mostly. Like we kind of knew that
stuff. We were like, "Wow, that's awesome! I can't wait to see that." All in the episode.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I wonder what takes them to Raxus. And because we know there's sort of like a big action set piece there because they're like in a walker, based on trailer stuff. So yeah, I wonder what takes them there. I assume, they have Cad, potentially Fennec, still on them, Crosshair still on them. I thought one thing where I was like, "Aw, I hope that's true," but I kind of doubt it is. Where Hunter's like, "I promise you will never have to go to Kamino ever again." I'm like, she's going to Kamino again.
That's like it.
It's like I didn't want that to be a false promise, but I kind of wonder if it is going to head that way. I feel like something sort of needs to happen with her and Nala Se, Lama Su, stuff like that. So I wonder if that actually will happen. But yeah, I mean, as far as what comes next, who the hell knows? Honestly.
Hey, Anthony.
Howdy.
Yeah, I think what would be great is maybe like if in the build up to the finale, if there's like a push forward, like when Rebels call to action aired, and then it was like nice little cliffhanger where they arrest Kanan, and then it's like, now where do we go from here? Like, how do we get Kanan back? It's like 2 episodes long. It'd be good if there's like a push for this where maybe they're like, okay, we can save Crosshair, but it's going to be risky, and we have to do it by going to Kamino.
Yeah.
And that's the risk they have to take.
Yeah.
And maybe they have to vote for it.
I'd love if that happened and it was like because they not even because they want him back, but like they need him back for something. I don't know why. Like without it, like just this sounds like shallow, but it's like, we need someone who can hit a specific shot or something. There's like there's only one guy who can do that. It's like, and he hates us right now. But yeah, I'd love if that was part of the motivation. Just because I think they to go to Kamino, they have to be like forced into that situation probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that could be really interesting. I'm really excited to see Raxus.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see
it was always a cool planet.
More of just the Empire, the clones, and like the ATT, like you were saying.
Yeah, and they've done such a good job at building these urban environments, right? Like the Ord Mantell, Pantora, and I remember Raxus from the Clone Wars having a very kind of cool, unique feel in that regard as well. So it'd be really interesting to see how they build that planet out and what they're up to, because the why go to the separatist like core planet? It's like maybe our good friend Kalani has some stuff going on.
That'd be cool. I'd love to see that.
Or he's on an Axis, right? Isn't he?
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah.
Or is it an Axis? I don't remember.
Yeah, no, it is an Axis. Yeah,
okay.
It's an Axis when he goes. This is some. He gets the code to shut down the army. It's like, what the fuck? No.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Rebels plot. It's the idea that he's so smart. He's like, why the fuck would I shut my army down?
This is obviously a trap.
Which makes me laugh as well, because they're probably all these other planets. The Battletoad's like, well, here we go.
Yeah.
Peace out. Yeah, really looking forward to seeing where they go hit from here. I do think that the set piece, the finale, will be Kamino based. I feel like they're going to go to Kamino, and there will be some sort of big repercussion if that's like maybe like very dramatic, like the sinking of the Tapoka City sort of levels. Because I think there's going to be the clone program is no longer able to continue sort of deal, and I'm still this is my crazy theory. The same way Rebels ended with Vader coming down the stairway, we'll see the Imperial Stormtroopers for the first time.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Again, like we said, with the Clone Wars Season 7, they don't just make these assets for no reason. Yes, of course, the ending is very specific and important, but
they're in the computer now.
They're in the computer.
use them. Yeah, I think that's going to be a big reveal for the Bad Batch. I think they got to make that transition official. Another reason go ahead, read the comment.
Yeah, sorry. Chad says, I keep wondering if they're going to somehow pull Legends back in slowly. Hire Heir to the Empire, Starkiller, turn Raxus into a junk pile. Raxus would be a fun one. Like, maybe that's why they go to Raxus. It's like, oh no, our bin's full.
Yeah,
it's full of all those great like popcorn boxes.
What a depressing thought, though. The Empire wanted to crush the Separatists so bad. They took their home planet and just turned it into trash. Man, that's brutal. That's brutality, baby.
Isn't that exact? No, not really. I was saying, isn't that the plot to John English? But that's prison.
Oh man. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I was just thinking when you were talking about the sinking of Tapoka City. I mean, who are the players here? It's Palpatine, and you know what he feels about loose ends, right? Like, it's like, oh, that program's done, kill it. So yeah, it makes you wonder.
Do you know what? There's an ongoing gag, or not ongoing gag, but there's something that's said in Rogue One that to me, I think is so hilarious and scarily on point that I feel like it could be an ongoing gag in the Star Wars universe. And I feel like it should be. And I would love it if Darth Vader appears in this series and was like, there was a mining disaster on Kamino.
Yep.
Like, there's no mines on Kamino. It's like, oh, I don't know what to tell you.
A fishing disaster.
Yeah,
it got a really big one and it pulled it all down. Yeah, that'd be fun. Do you honestly think Vader will be in the show?
That's what I've been debating. I think it depends on the context. If it's like Vader and Rebels, Vader and Rebels makes more sense because of the nature of Kanan and Ezra being Jedi. Rex seems like he doesn't know Vader.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be major clone based. Maybe I don't know. It depends. I think maybe if they infiltrate a facility, we might see Vader once. That might be cool. Or like if they go to Coruscant. Apart from that, I'm not sure. I feel like they've made that model though. So that's why I'm still leaning towards if they're going to do more animation projects. While I would like to see more Star Wars, I feel like that's a nice basis to go on. I'd like them to see. I'd even be down if they made like movies, or like set after episode 3 with those models. That might be really cool. I'm not sure if they were to do stuff though, like with Vader. What Chad says here about Starkiller, I have always thought that he is probably the easiest character to reintroduce into canon, as the idea of him being just another
Inquisitor.
Yeah,
definitely. That could, there's some room to play there. Yeah, I think the point about, again, like the asset existing just feels like the forbidden fruit, right? Like where it's right there. It's right there, and like we could use that. But I also think, like, I sort of joked about this before, but I do say it like seriously as well. Like, Rampart got a Black Series figure. It's like, you better bring some shit. Like, I'm still waiting for Rise of Skywalker Poe, Rise of Skywalker Finn, but Rampart got a Black Series. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping they don't need to lean on or use a big bad yet, at least. And I hope this guy has some real business to him for the end.
I'll say this then. I will say we will see Vader in the Bad Batch at some point, not this series, because I feel like Rampart will successfully, or depending on how you view it, introduce the concept of the Stormtrooper program for good. That Elite Squad is the starting point, and that by the end of this series, he'll say the clones aren't working, they have to destroy them, or whatever, or maybe the facility gets flooded, whatever. They remove the clones to get the Stormtroopers in. That guy's getting choked.
Yeah.
I don't know why, don't know how.
Yeah.
He's getting choked out.
He is very, like, classically, like, Ozzel style arrogant.
Yes.
So yeah. Maybe, what if it's Vader's first Imperial choke kill?
That felt good.
I should do that more often. Yeah. That'd be kind of fun to watch. Yeah.
Matt Turban says, does anyone else think that Snoke looks like a cross between Palpatine and Kaminoan? Kinda.
Got that height.
Yeah. Maybe I still think that whatever fundamentally creates Snoke, or whatever that is, or what, it's not the pure simple process of the Kaminoans like plucking a pube and growing another person. I think it's a mixture of different cultures and Sith magic, alchemy. I think it's a mixture of different stuff to make.
And again, like, we can't ignore that the cloners with the Kaminoan patches are operating with the Empire, right? So like, I think it's definitely they're part of the mix, in whatever way that means. But yeah, I think I think it's just super interesting. I think that's the thing. I'm still very intrigued. it's still no thoughts head empty on a lot of that cloning stuff. I'm just still very unsure of what it all meant.
Yeah, and maybe that's a good thing for now.
Oh yeah, I love that space.
There is a story to get into. Like maybe Charles Saw or someone might get into it.
Yeah.
At this point, I feel like it's nice to, just absorb it, get up for us, and then even then, like not everything has to have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at like I always bring this up, like we're both big history fans. It's weird to say history fans, but we're not.
Good content.
Good content, yeah. Big fan of the Jesus Christ. Have you read Gettysburg yet? No, I think we're both big history buffs, and there's a lot of people. I think people don't understand or don't really delve into the fact that a lot of history is conjecture. A lot of history is working off a little, if not any, factual information sometimes, and a lot of history is still unknown. And it's the same with Star Wars.
It's the same with any story building, where you are taking the word of people, right? And so much of history is, well, this guy said this, and that's kind of our only record of it. So until we have any other way to like corroborate it, like that's kind of it. Like that's sort of the like story of like Herodotus, where it's like where he'd be like, and the Persians had 2 million people in the army. And it's like, well, I guess we're sort of operating off that because there's no way to know. But then like, as like time progresses, you get a little more accurate and how things worked. And I think that's like the fun of living in a, in a fictional world where characters are so defined in terms of their point of view and their motivation and all that stuff, and the things they say aren't gospel. And right, like I mean the great one is twin sons Obi-Wan. I mean like yeah, this guy's the chosen one. And it's like, is that right? Like, and people are like, oh my god, but that changed I thought Anakin's the chosen. I'm like, what if Obi-Wan's wrong?
Yeah,
right. Like
there's a lot of, and I don't mean this to be in a pompous way, but there's a lack of critical thinking when it comes to everything. Like sometimes
that's fair. Yeah. Lack of critical thinking in life.
Like we've seen it with Loki recently, where people looked at the TVA and were arguing like, no, this is what they've. And it's like, because you're listening to someone who they claim to win the multiversal war. Well, yeah, the victor claimed that. It's the same way that if you were like people are like, oh yeah, I guess the Tudors were really nice people because you read Shakespeare. It's like, oh, do you really think Shakespeare would have written that Henry VII was a cunt when his granddaughter is the current monarch? Probably not.
How many crossbows were aimed on that guy? like yeah, I mean, come on. It's like, and that's like that's another great piece of history where it's like, what is the answer with the whole Henry Tudor succession, where it's like, we don't really know how those two kids died. Like, it's like, and you're just taking people's word for it.
Yeah.
And like there likely will never be an answer, to like all these different things. So it's fun always to see stories in a big sprawling universe reflect that reality of life, where like you think you know things, you kind of just have to roll with what's presented to you. But when they start conflicting, that's where it gets interesting, and not well, they don't know what they're doing. Like,
yes.
Yeah. So,
and again, like the victor who wins is the one who tells the story, right?
Yeah.
So you have to go into these stories. People will say certain things. People have different ideas. Some things will be that were told to them or they believe are not true. That's how myths work. That's why some people still think that King Arthur happened.
Mm-hmm.
it's the way we view things and the way we can just have a bit more critical thinking. When you listen to a story like this, like, the Empire, the Kaminoans, think about who's telling you the information, and why they're telling it, and what they expect to come from that, and then you might get a clearer answer. Just don't just listen to everything and absorb it all. That's the point about these stories. It's what makes it so special. It's what Ahsoka says. There's always a bit of truth to legends because not all these stories that were being told through the vein of Star Wars happened exactly as they were, and that's what makes it special.
Exactly.
Well, why don't we wrap up and give our overall thoughts and scores? Claire couldn't be with us this week, sadly, but I do have a little note from her with her little information and score. Claire says, I gotta give this one 9.75 out of 10 Lulas. I've been waiting to see Cad in action again, and this episode gave us that and outdid my expectations. The fight choreography was amazing. We firmly established how Fennec is the next up-and-coming thing in the bounty hunter biz. There were so many surprises, and the scenes between Todo and Omega were hilarious. The show just keeps getting better every week. Nicky.
Where's that 10, Claire? That's what I'm asking.
we'll have to keep pushing for it. When
Claire's the inverse of me, where I'm like, I will only give 10s, and she's like, I will never give 10s. So there we go. 9.75 Lula. Almost a full Lula there, but not quite. Still missing a little ear. But yeah, no, I mean, for me, again, this show's hitting what it needs to hit, and I can't fault them for that. So that's a big old 10 out of 10 Lulas for me. It's it's exciting, it's fun. The characters continue to be great. They continue to mine new territory. I can't wait to watch. It's like any other thing. When it's that good, you can't wait for the next episode. And I'm certainly in that spot here. I'm just trying to get through to the next one and see where they all go, because this new Boba alleyway is I think very exciting for the prospects of him coming in to the show. I mean, just imagine a conversation between Boba and Omega. Like it's very enticing to think about. So it's just super cool. I'm so excited for what it's doing. I'm really quite just thrilled with how this whole show has come together. So yeah, if you know what, we have rules in our show, but Turbo has no rules, and I agree with Turbo's 11. It was this whole thing, it just slaps. So yeah, I'm super happy to be watching it. I'm so glad it's here. It's making this summer a real blast. So thanks, Bad Batch.
I feel like this might be one of your favorite Star Wars to come out with this new era. I feel like.
Oh yeah, I think already it's probably like my second favorite animated show.
Nice.
I think Rebels is very hard to dislodge. That'll have to be some extreme shit to dislodge Rebels. But yeah, no, I think this definitely. And I was, personal biases. I've always been very pro Batch since I saw them for the first time. So it's but independent of that, I think they're hitting some just real good stuff.
Yeah, for me, I hope this doesn't seem like a disingenuous. After what you've said, like so much heartfelt. I don't mean this disingenuously. That I'm not going to tell you why I like this episode, because it's so much easier to say why I didn't like it.
There we go.
And that's that. I have nothing. Like I thought really hard about this, and I know people are like, "Oh, you have no critical skills." Like I have a degree. Trust me, I've got critical skills. I have nothing bad to say about this episode. Not a single thing. There's nothing I can be like, well, 10 out of 10. This is just a really, really, really beautiful episode. Visually, it was stunning. And I'm going back to what I said about the show. Visually, it was stunning. Again, the character development between these characters has been really beautiful to see. that we didn't even really talk about that moment between. We did kind of talk about it, but the moment where Hunter talks to America and it's like, "We'll never let them get you. Like, we're here for you," sort of thing. It's so beautiful. I love that. There's the fear now, the fear element of like these characters are coming after you. We don't know. We're necessarily have Fennec out there. There's just so much to delve in there and so much to build upon and so much expansion in this whole world and time period that I can't give it anything less than a 10. It's just really, really good.
Yeah,
I really love this show as well. I feel like I don't know. It's just really, it's hard to just say really good, but it is.
There's nothing wrong with saying that, right? Sometimes something's just good, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like let's watch it. It's good. Let's keep going. Yeah, I think it's just really exciting. I think in a lot of ways, this feels like the first. I mean, obviously, it says Dave Filoni's name on it, but this is sort of the first what is animation where he's not calling every little shot, right? Yeah. And it's not his trust tree is dictating where the path is, and I think that's really promising for the future of animation. And it's not to say like this isn't a don't count Filoni thing. Like obviously he's created this environment for this to flourish. Like all of this is in place because of his successes. But I think it bodes very well for the idea that like Lucasfilm Animation is in such a good place that they can bring in pretty much a whole new sort of creative, like at least like story-wise team. I guess Matt Micknovitz is sort of an old head, but you know, for the most part, it's people helming something for the first time. So, or at least for first time in Star Wars land. So I think, yeah, it bodes well for the future of these shows and you know, what can be accomplished without like one guy running the whole thing.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like a general overview of Lucasfilm and what they're doing. It's funny when people shout on both sides, like get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, or I love Kathleen Kennedy, or I shout get rid of Dave Filoni, I love Dave Filoni. When actually I feel like, if anything, Lucasfilm has been setting up in recent years a very significant, and I think they've been doing it for a while now, but very significant sort of Jedi Order structure of Masters and Padawans, but also we see in the Jedi Order that people just in general, whether you're a Padawan or a Master or a, you know, Jedi Knight, you teach people new stuff just by interaction. But there's also a training thing going on. I feel like The Mandalorian was a great way to get these new, not necessarily all new directors, but some of them are new, some of them are just different to Star Wars. Give them that show and then prove what they can do, and then you can then push them elsewhere. Like, you know, Deborah Chow. Now she's doing Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, and Robert Rodriguez with Book of Boba.
Yeah,
and who does he know who he's going to bring in? You know, it's like, and it just, you know, all these little things will start branching out, and you know, that creates a really exciting pool of talent.
And that not only does it create a pool of talent, but it adds that trust as a filmmaker and storyteller to the point where they will go, look, well, we know what you can do with this story under the guise of, you know, Jon Favreau. We give you the permission to push forward on your own direction, see what you can do with that. And I think it's the same with animation, where Dave Filoni, you know, the people that work on this show, ironically, the people that always complain or like don't give it credit, Resistance. Resistance was a good show where not many people watched it, but they were able to push the boundaries on some elements and storytelling beats and real good character storytelling, that they had that opportunity, even though it was closed short for them.
Yeah.
Now they've got this bigger platform, if you will, to be able to push forward on their own terms. And guess what? They get majority good results.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like Brad Rao worked on Forces of Destiny even.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, that like they've been around, and they've you know, they're getting this opportunity now to really go for it in a big way. So that's really cool. And also, I didn't know this until I like looked it up a few days ago, but Fen Rao is named after Brad Rao. It's like,
oh, wow.
It's like a direct reference to him. So
yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
much like him.
They have to do like another Mandalorian episode with a distant cousin or something.
Yo, Fen Rao and the Bad Batch, baby. Let's make it happen.
Oh,
If you're Brad Rao, how do you not put him in?
Yeah, I feel like you're right.
Yeah, come on, Brad. I believe in you. You can do that, baby.
And then people are like, we're just putting Mandalorians in this again. Who gives a shit? Give me Bo-Katan, give me animated Moff Gideon.
Yeah. It's almost like clones are like inherently linked to Mandalorians anyway. Why
would you say that?
I don't know. It's just this weird like unspoken thing that connects them. I don't know.
I just think you're pushing it too far. Like, why get involved with bounty hunters? Like, there's nothing to do with the clones with anything to do with bounty hunters. There's no point in getting involved in that.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Well,
maybe next time.
Maybe next time, indeed. I think that's all we have time for this week. But before we, finish up, let's wrap up with all our stuff. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Imp Senate Pod and on Instagram at Imperial Senate Pod. Don't forget to support the show by buying our merchandise or becoming a patron at patreon.com/the Imperial Senate Podcast, where you get to have all great shows such as Nicky.
Yeah, Sacred Jedi Bricks is a Lego Lego show commentary. Reed and I actually just finished recordings for the rest of season 1 of Freemakers, so those episodes will be going into the Patreon feed, and then we got some cool plans for the rest of the stuff, maybe some other shows for Patreon. I know I got some ideas in the works, so hopefully you come check that out, check out some cool shows, check out some fun stuff, and you can help support the show.
Also, I really loved your thread today about the villains. Who's the worst villain in cinematic history? Oh,
yeah. Man, Nare slaps.
It's a good character. One of those things you're like, oh, generic bad Jedi. I'm like, shut the fuck up. It's a Lego show for kids. Good stuff. Also, I really hope they make, this is off the comment, that Naboo museum.
Oh, man.
I want that to be canon.
That was the funniest stuff. Like,
that was one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah. With the general, or I don't know what degree he'd been demoted then. The Durpin guy.
He get promoted. It's the best joke. He's like, I don't want this.
Yeah. Durpin is an all-time great.
Yeah.
But yeah, great stuff. Freaking Makers rock, and if you want to come listen to some people watch along with them, that's great.
Yeah, awesome. And don't forget, our merch is all available on tpublic.com. Claire, you can find Claire. She's not here with us today, but you can find her on Twitter at C-Strips, right?
Yes.
C-Strips. And on Instagram at C-Strips as well.
There you go.
And she will be back with us next time, I think. Nicky, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can see the little thing here, at Niquitius on Twitter. And then you can also listen to another show I do, which is a film franchise watch party commentary vibe. We're called the One and Done Film Club. You can find that at one, the letter N, Done Show. We, I think, drop our season finale tonight. So jump in on that. It's very cool. It's a little something from a series of films you may know called Star Wars. So yeah, we finished the season with a bang with the Star Wars prequel. So if you want to check out which one we watched, go check our feed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you like that stuff, and come hang out.
Perfect. You can follow me on Twitter at CMWASHBY. You can follow me on Instagram at CharlieMWAshby. I have a Patreon and a Ko-fi, which I've been recently setting up again. I'll have more information for this week because I'm going to be releasing that out for the world. But the shows that were on Patreon, I'm now releasing free currently. So if you want to listen and catch up on the shows, such as the Charlie Ashby Show, where I interview people like Claire and Nicky, if you want to listen to Batman Returns, the show I do with our good friend Auden Diaz from Octo Radio, that's also available. The complete first series is out on my podcast feed. If you search for the Charlie Ashby Network, all the shows that I do are listed under that one podcast feed. So all you need is the one RSS feed. You subscribe to it and you get all the different shows. Yeah, you get to hear me and Alden do Michael Caine impressions. You get to hear me talk to...
2 hours of it.
It's genuinely, technically more, because there's like 3 films.
Oh, there we go, yeah.
Yeah. I do hope you are a member of the Fire Brigade. So check us out there, and we've got some other stuff coming up soon, which we're pretty excited about. If you are listening to this on the audio feed, we have put all the episodes for this up on our audio feed as of this week. So I do apologize for the lack of main shows. It's just that it's easier to do this while the Bad Batch is on, and then we'll be back with our regular bitching.
Yeah, gotta strike this iron while it's hot, and
exactly.
And then regular service will resume in a few weeks.
And not that long left, I don't think, really. Like a month or 2.
How many? 16, it's like 7 episodes left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. About 2 months. Right, that's all we've got time for this week. If you've got any questions about this episode or anything else, feel free to email us, tweet us. Probably tweet might be better. But if you don't have Twitter, email us. Or join our Discord. All the information you can find in our description below. Anything you want to find us, Facebook, Tinder, just find us on the description below.
Don't forget to like that video too.
Oh yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe.
like that video. Leave a comment on the YouTube video as well if you have a question or want to yell at us about something. Cool stuff.
Also, if you want to dislike it, I mean, you can. Technically, you're just improving the algorithm. So if anything, if you want to spite us, don't even do anything.
Yeah.
So, But, that's all we've got time for. We'll be back next week with another episode of The Bad Batch. This is The Bad Betches. See ya.
Bye, everyone.